So much for being with us, Michal.
It's really great to be with you guys, and it's really honor, and then just to tell you a little bit about my story. English, it's my third language. I speak fluently Hebrew and Amharic. This is my native language. So I try to speak English. So I'm not apologize, but I will do my best to express and to give you a little bit about my experience and my story of my Ethiopian community and what we are really doing at Fidel. I want to start with my background, just to tell a little bit about who is the Ethiopian community and someone is just...
can everyone mute except for Michal? Yeah.
To begin my background back in Ethiopia, I grew up in a village in Ethiopia next to Gondar, not far away from Gondar. Since I know myself and since I start knowing myself, I heard a story about Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the Holy Land, that one day we will be reunited with the Jewish people. And this is the background. Try to imagine living in a village without electricity, without phone. Try to imagine not to be on WhatsApp and email. The life is back in 35 years ago. It was really living by nature. My father, he was one of the elder in the village. He was a farmer. He had a cow, sheep, everything, and he used to give tzedakah, but we knew that one day we would be going to Jerusalem. If you Ethiopian Jew left Israel or Jerusalem after the first temple being destroyed, and they walk from Yemen to Ethiopia, and our route is there from the 12 tribes, the dance tribes. There are some virgins. There is some virgin. One, it's talking about the King Solomon. King Solomon with Queen Sheba, their roots, but we believe that we are on a last tribe of Dan. So we came there. So we dream about Jerusalem, and when I was 8 years old, try to imagine the village. The village, there is a synagogue. There is the whole holidays we used to celebrate, but we knew that one day it will be the time to leave Ethiopia and to start a journey. My parents heard a little bit about the way there's going from Ethiopia to Sudan, and one night, my parents and my other cousins decide to leave Ethiopia and they start working from Ethiopia to Sudan. They left everything. They didn't sell anything. They left the house, the cow, the feed, everything. And we, as the children, we knew it was for Jerusalem. So we didn't ask anything. We didn't really say goodbye to our friend. So we were in the front. Our journey took about 6 weeks. We walked from Ethiopia to Sudan during the night because we were hiding from the Ethiopian army and robbers, and we were hiding during the day. The journey, it was for us as a children, it was easy because we had a dream. dream to go to Jerusalem. We didn't know really what's mean the dream of Jerusalem, but we had a goal. We've been dedicated many years to achieve this goal. So we were exciting. And the other hand, our parents, they knew it when we finished the walk from Ethiopia to Sudan. We arrived to the Sudanese border. I remember when my father told us that this is the time that we are arriving. I think someone is okay. My father and my other uncles, they took all the kids and say, now we are going to be an enemy country in Sudan, in the border. So please don't tell that you are Jew. This is the first time that I felt as an Ethiopian Jew that they told us not to say that we are Jew. And then we were in a refugee camp in Sudan a year. Our family and others get help from the Mossad and the Red Cross. It was a really hard time because my parents didn't work. Many people died. They were sick from disease and not starving, but the whole back in Ethiopia, they ate very healthy food, and then when we arrived to Sudan, it was really hard. So when it took about a year until our turn, it was calm. I remember I don't know, it's hard to imagine the refugee camp in Sudan. Leave everything behind you and stay every day not doing anything, not going to school, not being working, being in a refugee camp and and sometimes we used to count how many people died today during this time. It's about 4,000 Ethiopian Jew was died during this journey in Sudan. After a year, it was our turn to come to Jerusalem, and they told us get up and to take night some our belonging, and we start walking in the desert of Sudan, waiting for us, two big truck waiting us and took us to the plane. Try to imagine that it was my first time to be in a plane. I never been in a plane, and suddenly white people welcoming us. I never saw white people before. And after a while, someone told us in a microphone and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, you have been arrived to Jerusalem." And for us, the real journey began when we landed to Jerusalem. Actually, it was airport, Lod and Ben Gurion airport, not in Jerusalem. And just later on, I discovered what's the difference between cities, not the dream. And the real journey to be a minority people, Black Jew, and a newcomer to this country and Israel, it was a real journey for us. And I think the challenge that we facing today began when we landed to Egypt, because we achieved the dream, but we have to start to have another dream, because we arrived to Jerusalem, and the story about Jerusalem, about Israel, it was about the Holy Land. Everything is sweet. Everything it's everyone was ruling religion, and suddenly we facing in a different side of Israel. It's not the story that we heard from our parents. So we start by by saying that's how my parents, they were proud and happy to be landing in Israel, in Jerusalem. And we were to give you a little bit about the process of being immigrant or a newcomer to Israel. We were in an absorption center, and then unfortunately, the authority decided to send all the youngest to the boarding school to separate families. So I was sending to boarding school, religion boarding school, because the authority decided to send us in a religion school because we came from very traditional families. But no one's asked us what's the best thing that can be feed for us. So it was the first thing that we and our family starts dealing to be in Israel. I finished my high school in a religious school. During my all the Ethiopian kids, they learn Hebrew very quick. They adjust to the Israeli society very quick. So they had a chance to support and help their own family, because my parents, they never speak Hebrew and they never adjust in the Israeli society. So it was our role to help them and to guide them to adjust in the Israeli society. Try to imagine every Sunday I used to late to boarding school because Sunday was the day that I have to go and help my parents in a different field, in a different authorities. So that was our, in the meantime, I think it was a big mistake that they sent us in a boarding school because it was a big separation. We are 9 brothers and sisters, and then it was my first time being separated from my family. And they went through all the difficulties to be in Israel, and I went through. And then it was really separating from my heritage and culture, because in the school, they never teach about my history and about my culture. So I've been educated in a very Orthodox Jewish school, and to be that, they never really teach about our leadership, our Kesim. Kesim, it's an Ethiopian rabbi. And then there was so many conflicts with my parents. Back in Ethiopia, Shabbat come in when the sun is going down. Back in Ethiopia, here in Israel, there is a time. There can be sun, and then still it's going to start Shabbat. So how I deal with this conflict? And to make it short, and then my story, I finished high school. And my friends, they went to university, and I saw them study for, I don't know how to say it, in exam preparing for the university, but no one's teach me this kind exam to go to the university. And I remember asking all my friends, what is it, and then how it's how they can read it. And eventually we discovered that it was for preparing to university. And the other thing, it's the school staff, they had, even we were very strong students, but our staff, they decided to sign us in some seminar, religious seminar. They told us, guys, you're gonna be finished the high school, the real life, it's gonna be in front of you, and we prepare you, and we sign up you already to go to the some religion, very Orthodox religion seminar. And we were so insulted, because we had a very high expectation from us, from ourselves, to go to university or college. And suddenly we realize that how the expectation and of the school staff, it was low about us. And this was the a very important moment for me to lead my goal in life, and to educate myself, and to be to understand the education. It's the key to achieve, and no one can decide for me or for my life. That I have to go and to educate it, and to go to serve my community, just to help them, not to make no one can make any decision for them. They have to be educated to make their own decision. So it was the very highlight moment for me. From there, I went to national service because I was in a religion school, and they decided to not to get permission not to serve in the army. So I was in national service, and then in national service I volunteered a year. I decided to go in 1991. 92, I decided to go and to serve in an absorption center. In 1991, it was a big operation coming from Russian and Ethiopian. I went there to help them not to make the same mistake that my family and the authority did, to check which school is gonna be sending their children. And I finished the national service until I went to Haifa University. I got my higher education. But during this time, I knew that the first generation, the middle generation, as an immigrant and coming from Ethiopia, we knew that we have to be active. We have to be in the front. So this is the rule that we took. From my background, from my experience, I knew that the education is the key to be part of the Israeli society, and to compare my parents, they were so happy to be in Israel, say thank you for everything, and they didn't ask anything. They accept everything the authority decide for them. But when we grow up and we've been active, we learned how is this society of Israel is working. So we were a different generation. We were very active generation. So and we saw there was a when I see the history of the Ethiopian community and how during the 40 years in Israel we had at least 4 or 3 crises that defined our relationship with the Israeli society. Dealing with racism, dealing with conflict, dealing with not learning from many mistakes years ago. One is when we came to Israel, the first thing that we been asked is to be a convert for the Judaism. It was really hard for the Kesim, the rabbi, and they didn't demonstrate about that, because who's gonna say who's Jew, who's not, who's the typical Jew? And it was our rabbi, Kesim, to say, we're not gonna convert, because we keep our tradition many years, more than 2,050 years. So you're not gonna say the Orthodox, you're not gonna say we're Jew and not Jew. You're not gonna decide. So it was a big issue that it hurt us in our identity. The other thing, it was the police profiling with young Ethiopian. So this is the issue that it was in 2015. One of our Ethiopian Israeli soldier, was beaten by the soldiers, by the police. So it was a big discrimination and protesting that we, as a young generation, we force the government to make a decision in how they are treating the young Ethiopian in different neighborhoods. Maybe I will give you a little bit background about how many. There is 150,000 Ethiopian Jews living in Israel. More than 55% they are young, under age of 18. It's very young population. We located in Israel in the center and south. In a very poor, unfortunately, majority of us living in a poor neighborhood. The lack of the schools, they're not high. So that we start demanding that to get equal education with our community. So this is something that we are facing. On the other hand, it's really the big issue. It's about a police issue, that they see our youth as suspicious. They profiling. So we are dealing with the police violence a lot. The other thing that we see, it's identity issue. I think during the years, the school education didn't educate the Israeli society about Ethiopian Jewry, about the background. And the Israelis, they don't know about our history. The thing they learn about us, it's in the media. Who killed his wife, or how many Ethiopian doing demonstration, and it's all the bad things. It's in the media, and the media actually design our identity in a negative way. So for us, as a young generation, as a young leader in the Israeli society, it was really hard to bring all the good things happening in our community, as it being a part of the Israeli society. I think this is something that we work very, very hard that to encourage ourselves to be in the front. I think the whole identity issue, if kids open books and he doesn't reflect his face in school, and it's a big issue. And the books speaking about the history of Poland or Russian. So this is not relating with me. And if I open the TV and I don't see any black Ethiopian black Jew in a TV, how was my kids be looking for role models? And if the Israeli society really doesn't count the rabbi as not the Israeli society, the Orthodox party doesn't count the rabbi, our casing, as a rabbi can get married or get permission to divorce and everything. So how I can be strong with my identity, and how I can be part of this society. So this is the big issue that we are forcing the Israeli society to learn. And I'm happy to say that since 2015 we see many changes. we see many changes and many success by not separating all the program with the Ethiopian community only. There is many, not many, but elected in municipalities. Many there's large young leaders being elected in the municipalities, and we have two-member Knesset. One of the my friends, Penina Tamino Shete, she is a minister of the absorption, and she's a minister in this government. And there is a lot of officer, lawyers, executive, and many in a high-tech company. So we now saying that we have to be in the front. You're not making a decision for us. We know how the systems work. We part of this nation. We're building this country. So we have to be part of the making decision. You not can decide which program and which facilities can work for us. So this is something that we are strong with our identity. And the other thing that we are doing is also with Fidel and other organization, it's to put some in the curriculum of the forcing the Minister of Education to put and educated other kids about the history of Ethiopian and to learn about the heritage of the Ethiopian, the leaders. Even my kids' school, and I live in Hoda Sharon, it's not far away from Tel Aviv. There is very secular schools. When the principal, I'm very involved with in their school. Speaking about my journey, about the Ethiopian history, and when she put a big poster in the front of the school about the Israeli society and the leaders, I asked her to put Yona Bogale, he's one of our education leaders, in this poster to remind those kids and to give a power for my kids also that there is a black leader, black Jew leaders and we have leaders. Our case in there, our leaders. This is something that we are putting in the front, that we have to educate it. It have to be I think in the three area that we are first facing today, it's one, it's how much the Israeli society educating themselves, and this is not our problem. This is the Israelis' problem. They have to be educated. They have to be learning. It's not only, you have to be adjusting in the Israeli society as a newcomer. If you are Russian and if you are coming from state or other countries. No, the Israeli society, the veteran Israeli have to learn about the newcomer. It's also about Ethiopian community, talking about the history, learning. It's not only, in the beginning, the Mossad and other authority, the narrative, they used to tell that we brought the Ethiopian community to Israel. No, you help us to get here. You help us to be in Israel. But the real hero, it's my parents. They left everything. They sacrificed their life for us, for be reunited with other Jew. So this is that we are changing the narrative in one side. The other thing is to help in a different area. That's many training, many Ethiopian, it's to be training and to force the Israelis to put in a different fields. And so if my kids were in school, so they have to be teacher. you have to be Ethiopian teacher educating in some schools. It's not only area that Ethiopian live. So this is something that we are really pushing our young generation to take the roles, to take the hand of the, and the other, it's we are going around the country and giving a lecture saying, no, we are the hero. Let's go to change the narrative. We have a leader. We have our leaders. So we have to talk about that. And this is something, and through my role at Fidel, it's we educated different schools about, we have a wonderful program called Educational and Social Mediators that's working within school, helping with parents, how we can help parents to be part of the school system. So most of the parents, they never been in school. This was the first time when they came to Israel handling with the school. So we helped them to take their own power back, because their power, the parenting, being taken by authority, by other that help them, it's doing for them. No, they educated many kids. We are coming from 9 brothers and sisters. They educated us very well. So give them the power. Give them the power to take the roles. And this is one of the things that were. And another is that to discuss about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room that everyone is very sensitive about our color, about our blackness, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. So let's face it, let's talk. And why you is caring about our color? Why you have prejudice? Why you have a stereotype about Ethiopian community? So let's to talk, and it's open. Actually, not only with the Ethiopian, with the whole Sfarad, people come from Morocco and other countries about that. So this is the issue that we are facing. And the other thing is, I believe in leadership. So we training many young Ethiopian to be a leader, to be a young leadership in school, after non-formal education, and to take a position in a different area, so they can be seen, not only, and then lead. I can see today many youngs taking a role, being activists, being in the front. So this is something that we are very proud to be a part of this process. I think when countries, people judging Israel about I think about their morale, or about her status. But I think I always say, when the Israeli society threat with the Ethiopian community as an equal, not judging them by their color, judging them by our ability, this will be the real passing the test, or being a normal society. And I think this is depend of our identity, about our self-confidence also. How, as an Ethiopian Jew, we are proud to represent ourselves in a community, in this society. And then, and another hand, it's how Israel is will be proud or to be not only saying in United Nations conference that we brought Black Jew not to be a slave or whatever, to be a part of the society. This is not, it's not only when it's confidence to talk about the Ethiopian Jew as a human right action. It's what's going on real here with accepting and seeing us as a quality, as a part of the Israeli society. So this is something that, this is in general, this is why I am in this area. I have so many things to say, but I am opening to for question, and Yael, you're gonna lead the.
Thank you so much for everything you've been doing over decades to improve Israeli society as a whole and to empower the Ethiopian community and change the narrative about that it's not populations just being rescued, as you were saying, but that it should be part of the curriculum of all schools, the history and heritage of Ethiopians, and to fight prejudice and police brutality and so forth, while also acknowledging all the successes of the, as you mentioned, in terms of successes in being members of Knesset and lawyers and high-tech companies and all that. I'll start off with a question, and then I just want to tell everybody, because I know we had 84 people and now we have 82 people. So what you can do, oh good, I see someone already put their hand up electronically. Since I can't see all 84 people on my screen easily, it's better if you can put your hand up electronically, and then I'll unmute you and let you ask your question to Michal Vera Samuel. And I'll also, if you're having trouble doing it electronically, you can try just raising your hand, and I'll try to flip through and see you. And I think we'll have time to get to all questions, so I welcome them. I'll start with a question. I've been hearing a lot about the 9,000 or so Ethiopians who are still in Sudan, who many were pressured to convert to Christianity in the late 19th century and therefore aren't allowed into Israel as Jews, but through family unification. And they've been promised for years to be able to join. And it seems like now 2,000 will be able to come by the end of December. And there's hopes, especially with the new Ethiopian Minister for Immigration and Absorption, that there'll be even more mobilization on that. So that's one question I had. And I know there were demonstrations about that in the past year or two as well in the Ethiopian community to bring in others through family unification. And then the second question was education. What are still the challenges and successes there? My sense is that there scholarships available and that the government has put some resources into that, but I'm not sure how well it's implemented, and I wanted to ask you about that. So those were my two initial questions, and then I'll call on people as I see them, and then unmute you to ask your question.
Okay. For the first question, it's not in Sudan, it's in Ethiopia. It's it's waiting place in Gondar and Addis Ababa. Many years the Israeli government promised to bring those Jew from Ethiopia to Israel. It took time. I think it's, in my opinion, it's I know there's an issue about Judaism, but most of them, they have family here. Some of them, they came as a Jew to Israel. I think the government, it's my personal view. I think the government, they didn't bring them because they were in Africa, they were in Ethiopia, they're black, and the left of party, they didn't know how to say no to the small party. They were a very orthodox party. When they're questioning about their identity, even they force today, when they came to Israel to be converted and to be educated as Orthodox and to study the halacha, or the tradition. But I think it was a matter of not. It's really hurt, yeah, when they go to Europe looking for another Jew to bring to Israel. So it's different. We're waiting to many. Some of them I see in school. They've been separated from their family. Some of the fathers here and the mothers there. So it's been a mess. I am glad that the new minister pushed the government to make a decision and to bring them. And once they close the compound in Addis or in Gondar, it will be okay with us, because bring all of them and finish this issue, because it doesn't help to anyone, not to the community because it's family separated, and for them because they stay in Addis in Gondar, and it's been a long time without education system, without being getting served, so they're suffering. This is we are so glad, and then I know it's in the Ethiopian community. The opinion is separate. There is people say, okay, bring them. They are they are part of our nation. There is a couple people saying that they are not real Jew. They've been losing their identity many years. So there is but for us, it's and for me, it's something that the government have to finish this issue, to bring all of them and close this area. For your other question, education, it's been for many years, for the Ethiopian, it was very low achievement, because the most of them, we were in a very weak education system in the neighborhoods. Being some of them in the beginning, we were separated from the we located in a very poor cities and not strong area. So by that, the education, they're not strong enough. So the matriculation, and it was very low. But now really we see the government, the municipalities giving a lot of effort to increase the matriculation and the education system. The government help us with tuition in a university. So we get tuition, so it's help us, because my family they wouldn't afford it, because they never work, they been in welfare, so it's help. And because of that, we see many Ethiopian getting in higher education. There is, even in my family, we are 9 brothers and sisters. I have almost 65 nephew and nieces. We are very large family. So you can see a lawyer, engineer from Technion, from one of the doing his PhD and state. every fields. One of the to my nieces, they're business women running their own company, and traditional. And there's you can see today there is many Ethiopian taking rule, and some of them they took. Even I grew up in Kfar Saba. It's not far away from Hod Sharon. Kfar Saba, my family, they used to live in a very poor neighborhood called Yoseftal, but I live now in Hod Sharon. It's very strong city, and some of the youngest get out from those neighborhoods and been in a strong neighborhood. So the education is the key, and we are investing in our children and in our future. Yeah.
I see a hand up from Grace Wandwire. I don't have your full name on there. So go ahead and I'll unmute you. And then for those who don't have their hands up, would like to, again, you go to participants and you can see a raised hand. If you just put your arrow at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see participants and then look for it. And if you're having trouble, you can just kind of raise your hand and I'll try to look for you. All righty. So I unmuted you. Yeah.
Hello, thank you. I just had a question regarding the media portrayal of the identity of Ethiopian Jews. So you said that it was done in a like almost tarnished the reputation of Ethiopian Jews. How was that achieved? How did they go about doing that? Was it misinformation that they were spreading, or propaganda, or misconceptions about the culture? I was just curious about that.
The media, they don't want to publish all the good things happening in a community. Always speaking all the bad things. If there is a family crisis and husband killed the wife, this is the big issue. The first things we see when they publish about the domestic violence of the family, in other community, they don't say which race or which community is coming. But when they're talking about Ethiopian community, immediately the Ethiopian family killed his wife, the Ethiopian guy his fellow. Immediately they're talking about the whole community. And if I'm doing something wrong, it's as an Ethiopian representing by color, speaking about the whole community. They don't talk about me as Michal or doing wrong. And this is the one thing. The other thing is, in the media, it's everything that's about a connection. Who's bringing his son and his relative, and we don't have any connection. We don't have a cousin he's working in this field or others working in this field. We have to work very hard to build our ability to build our relationship and to get there. So when all the discrimination was, so they didn't talk about while we were talking or they didn't talk about the reason why we go out and say enough. They talk about how we were violence, how we destroyed the stores and others, and why we closed the road of the highway of Ayalon, and not why why we were there and saying not being suffering by police. They didn't talk about the police brutality that we suffering every time. So this is the media just show all the negative area of the Ethiopia. Even when the 3 years ago, it was Titiaya. Now she been elected as a Miss Israel. The first time she was black Jew, a beautiful girl, and she been elected when when I went to the office. Some of them, my friends, non-Ethiopian, say, "Oh, you have your Miss Israel. You've been elected. Your Miss is been elected." No, she's not representing me as an Ethiopian only. She's representing Israel. It was hard for the media to talk about her representing the whole Israel as a Miss Israel. They talk about how she's Ethiopian representing the Ethiopian community, how she's become a role model, and this. And I think this is putting a very negative narrative that it's hard for us to break it, because they talk about all the bad things about Ethiopians. This is something that we are facing too.
Thank you. I see a question from Lenacia. Wait. Sorry. Lenacia, there you are. Oh, I have to unmute you. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
Hello, Mikal. I'm sorry if I missed you, but what was the reason that your family left Ethiopia?
Say it again.
What was the reason that your family left Ethiopia?
We left Ethiopia because we are Jew, and we knew our home is Israel, Jerusalem, and I know there's a conspiration that we left Ethiopia because it was starving, it was hard time, and we were looking for better life. No, my family, they were wealthy. They had their own whole farm. So they left Ethiopia because we are part of the Jewish people, and they dream about Jerusalem, about the Holy Land many years, and it was the time that they find the way to go to Jerusalem, and then because of that. Okay, Angela. You're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah, my question is like, so can you tell me what was like current as Ethiopian's government attitude towards like Jewish people in Ethiopia?
If I understand your question, it's you mean how was the life in Ethiopia as a Jew?
Yes. So yeah, well, like when you are young, when you live in Ethiopia, so what is the government?
Okay. First, when we were there, Mengistu Haile Mariam, it was a very dictator, and he was connected with Russians, so he didn't let us to go. And we were suffering. I've been a Jew. Actually, the Christian and the others, they used to call us falasha. Falasha mean you're stranger, people without land, not belonging here in this country, and then they used to call us falasha. And Mengistu, he was a dictator. He used to actually kidnap some of the men one of my brothers, he was kidnapped by the Ethiopian army. So he served as a soldier in Mengistu's government many years. We didn't know if he's alive or not when we left Ethiopia. He came to Israel after 17 years, being separated from us. So even we had our land, we work in our land. So the government and us as a falasha, as a stranger. עוד שאלות?
Jerry Tyler, you're next.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello. I know you said there ever since 2015 there's been some progress made towards social justice towards Ethiopian Jews in Israel. What kind of progress? Like, can you name a few things?
There is some progress. One, it's they had a law. They had a law that's who's gonna they describe what's the mean racism. If you are being racist in a club or in a bus or any other, so they can get punishment by law. So this is something, it's really scared people. If you're racism, it's your problem. But if you are not allowed, Ethiopian or non-Ethiopian or Arabs, not to go to the club night, so they get a permission, they get a punishment, so they pay for that. And then we have so many cases that's been judges. This is one thing. The other thing, it's the government had their own system, separate us from different programs. To create a program that's belonging for the Ethiopian kids in after school, during the school. So we demand that they had a committee that's checking every program, every system in the Ministry of Education, that it's have to be stopped. You have to see all the kids by ability, not by the color. So this is something that really forces the authority and the mayors, the municipalities to work on that. This is, I think, it's too big achievement we achieved after 2015. And others, even in the army, they closed some of their program. They were separated in the beginning for training or something like that. So this is something we see. And the other thing that it's really amazing that police, they have to carry on a camera when they been called in any places. They have to take and give some of the when they investigate Ethiopian families or young adults, so they have to have translate. Someone can translate and really make sure that the family understand what they say. Because before that, they're not really understand what's they've been charging. This is really, we're very proud. And the whole process been made by young generation, because they didn't count our parents. So the young generation make the difference. יעל, את יכולה לעשות על מיוט, לשחרר את המיוט.
Yeah, I think I just tried to unmute Mark Bernstein,
Yes, I'm
who has
here.
the next question. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. I don't have a stable video connection, so I'm sorry. I just have my picture up. Thank you very much for your talk. I found it very moving and powerful. My students in my classes have watched the film Live and Become. I assume you're familiar with it. And I just wanted to know your reactions and whether you thought that was an accurate depiction and what comments or criticisms you might have of the way the community was depicted there and their struggles. And the second, just a second brief question, was if there are any attempts to align with Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States.
For your first question, the movie really represents the Mossad, not really the community. It took a role that they brought us. They are the hero, and we were in this film as a very pessimistic, not actives, and even really doesn't tell the real story. Even this is our reaction about the film. About the second question, I think there is some of us really considering what's happened there, and there is a lot of related issue talking about Black Lives Matter, the police brutality, the racism, the profiling, and the first thing that's the police see us as suspicious and wealthy community. They've been immediately asking by police and what they are doing there and everything. So this is something very similar. Some of our activists really involved in that but in the other side, they say, okay, this is something we're working on that, but there is a lot of things that are similar when we. I see many posters, many reaction of young generation here with what's going on there, and they feel really connected and taking some of the action from there here, how we can adapt it and how we can help them to us. So yeah.
Professor Yoakim, I unmuted you.
Okay, thank you. So first, thank you so much, Michal, for doing this presentation. I teach a class on cultural diversity and immigration in Israel for MSU in the summer, and we bring students there, so maybe we should meet up back then, and you can actually talk to my class in more depth and show them the work that you actually do. And I'd actually really like to ask you a question about the role of the welfare establishment in Israel. I know that a percentage of the Ethiopian community in Israel is still treated by the welfare authorities because basically the way that I interpret this, you're still treated as recent immigrants who arrived in Israel in the 1980s. And so my question to you first is, do you think that this support from the welfare system in Israel to the Ethiopian community is effective? And if you think that there's anything that that should be changed about that, and maybe there should be a different approach to deal with this, so that Ethiopian Jews are or Ethiopian Israelis feel better integrated into society and to join the, let's say, the economy of the country in a much better way. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a good question, actually. It's automatically if there is a problem with kids at school, immediately invite the whole welfare and social social works to be involved. If it's something that can be solved by education system. In the beginning, I think the concept of absorption us in the beginning, it was so wrong. And it wasn't be by limit how long we will be in the service of the welfare as a family. For the system, it was very easy and convinced to mention everything about welfare. If the family come to ask for help in education system, immediately they been sent to social works and all that. So this is something that really affect us. And one thing that we really see how we become depending on those service, and they by not in a purpose, but they create many families depending on welfare service. There is a lot of divorce in the Ethiopian community because of the gap between men and women. Because of the we get independent being in Israel. We as a patriarchal community in Israel, it's women get to work and to educated and are very adjusted very quick in the society. So there is a lot of divorce. I think because of the in the 2015 issue with the police, the other things it's been changed or beginning to change. It's not immediately defending define the family, Ethiopian family and welfare. Even I can be in this list because I am coming from Ethiopian family. So to change the criterion, this is something we began working on that. So this is the first things. Today we see many Ethiopian the way of the world surface. Ega. Okay, slicha. My kids is singing, so so this is something that many Ethiopians been in the business in the different fields that we don't have millionaire yet in the community, unfortunately, but there is a lot of Ethiopians in the good position that's leading the community. So they're leading in a community and they've been part of the very highest level of the Israeli society.
I'm not seeing any questions right now, so we welcome questions. I know we have many students here. Don't be shy if you have a question. I see Solomon has a question, who's lectured for our institute before. So it's great to see you and I'm glad to join us. I'll unmute you now.
Thank you. Mine is not really a serious question, but first I would like to thank you, the organizers, and I'm also very happy to see my Professor Walter. How are you? And to our speaker, the title of your organization is, I believe it's FIDEL.
FIDEL, yes.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to know if it has any meaning or if it's an abbreviation. The other thing is I would like to really comment on the overall circumstances of the Beta Israel, um, uh, if I am allowed. So
Go
I would
ahead.
like to make that comment. You know, the saddest thing about the Ethiopian Jewish community is they were not good Ethiopians while they were in Ethiopia. As our presenter said, they were considered as rootless. Basically, falasha means a person without no root, no right to inheritance, no right to land, and even their profession was the most despised one. Then they were longing for Jerusalem. They go to Israel, and yet they were not good enough to be Jewish. And their Jewishness was questioned and contested, and they have to prove to someone. I mean, if it was really, really, if Jewishness is questioned, I mean, Ethiopia is the most rural part of the world from where the Jewish population left to Israel. That means, relatively speaking, that was the most intact culturally, religiously, but their Jewishness is questioned. Now, they are there and they are adjusting, but then now we are also seeing, you know, we have a falasha, and then we have also a falasha mura. There is a stratification emerging between the falasha and the falasha mura. I mean, that's also not really helping the Jewish Ethiopian community, because I haven't heard from my little knowledge about other Jews who migrated from different parts of the world of such stratification. We can take, for instance, the Russian Jewish community who had a very similar situation like Ethiopia, but yet they are easily integrated. But the Ethiopians are not, I mean, their Jewishness was questioned and they are stratified. So it's unfortunate, I think. The emergence of Michelle or Miss Samuel and other Ethiopian Jews to the forefront in government offices, in non-profit organizations, and the fact that they are organizing, that will provide agency for the Ethiopian Jewish community to better deal with a system that was not used to having a black Jew in its midst. So your struggle will bear fruit, but it will take time. So thank you for your presentation. And I wanted to know the meaning of the title of it.
Thank you. You explained very well about our fighting and awareness about ourselves as a Jew, and I think a non-profit organization, you're really right that being affected and changing all the human rights and being role model even for other non-profit organization leading by non-Ethiopian. Fidelis mean alphabet in Amharic. It's education. Everything is about education. So we start actually the lady established Fidel in 1987. It's Dr. Nidist Mengesha. She is one of the high leaders of the in Ministry of Education field. Now she's running a Rosh Hashanah education field, and she established because the lack of all the Ethiopian students in school. She created a program called Educational and Social Mediators that help Ethiopian community to be adjust in the school system. On the other hand, to educate school staff about the history and heritage of the Ethiopian community. On the other hand, to educate it, to help parents to be involved in education and to explain those parents how it's crucial to be involved in education. It was the first time my parents they came to see me in the school. It was when I was when I was finishing high school. It was their first time, but how it's important for parents to go school and to ask their teacher, their principal. This is not something they used to do back in Ethiopia. Some of them they came in from the village. They never been in school. The school system back in Ethiopia it's very different from Israel. Here you have to be pushing. You have to be part of the school system. So we educated. So this is in one hand to show the community, Fidel, you have to be knowing the alphabet, the education. The other side, to educate the Israeli society was to, it's not Fidel Castro, it's Fidel, it's education, that's they have to know that education is the key to be a part of that. They have to invest in Fidel. They have to invest in education. This is and thank you mentioned that. It's usually this is the first thing that I am saying about Fidel. Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on today. I think we have about 7 minutes left, so I don't see anyone with their hand up, but if you'd like to ask a question, please do so. Michael is a great resource for us. And we don't have, oh, I see somebody, Cage Timothy. Let me try to unmute you. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, first of all, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And my question is there still much of a Ethiopian Jewish community today, or did most of them immigrate?
What do you mean by that?
Like, is there still a strong presence of Ethiopian Jews, like in Ethiopia today?
No, it's I think the numbers we're talking about 6,000 Ethiopian, 7,000 Ethiopian Jews remaining in Ethiopia, waiting for to come. The new minister of absorption, she had an agreement with the ministry, the government, that they will bring until in the end 2020 about 2,000. So this is a process that I mentioned before that I wish they will keeping their promise and bring all of them to be united with their family. And I think the decision not was made because of racism, because of the issue of being questioning about our Judaism, about our religion. So this is something we really fighting on that.
Okay, I see Reed Armstrong, you have your hand up, and I think I unmuted you.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi,
Yes.
I just want to start off by saying, thank you for sharing your story. And my question is, you said when you and your family originally arrived in Israel, they asked you to convert. What exactly were they asking you to convert to?
I think it was big issue until I didn't get to all the details, but it was big issue if the Orthodox Jew recognized as a Jew. It was big issue until the Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, he had his permission or psak halacha, I don't know how to say it in Hebrew, he make a statement that the Ethiopian Jew by law, they are Jew, so you have to bring them to Israel. They have to let them to be in Israel because of that. And when we came to Israel, I came with my family in the end of 1984. People they came before, they say to be a real Jew, and not to be not real Jew, but to doubt your Judaism and your so you have to be converted. You have to go to do some act, religion act. This is something they didn't require, and it was a big discrimination that they came. They say, no, this is, you are questioning about our Judaism. So they say no, of course. And they've been holding the Orthodox office many days. They were disseminated and been there. So I think it's for the Kessim, the rabbi, it's so hard because it's so hard to explain that when you dream about something, about you've been part of in thinking about Judaism, sacrifice your family, you're keeping many years. I remember as a young child celebrating Passover, New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and all the holidays in the Bible as a Jew. And you came here as a place of the Jew, and someone say, you are not really Jew. If you are a Jew, so you have to be converted. We have to give you a permission. I think this is so hard to listen because it was hurtful. And then eventually, I think the government and the Orthodox rabbi understand that we are not giving up our identity. We are strong enough, and so because of that, they just left it and they accept what's the Rabbi Ovadia Yosef sign on that. Even it doesn't mean that we don't have an issue when we want to get married. So we have, because we don't have any papers that we brought from our family, so we have to go to the Ethiopian rabbi to bring a list of who's our family, what's our roots, and to have a lot of evidence that we are real Jew, and we are really, which village we used to be, who's our rabbi, who's our case. So we have to bring that, and there is many issue, not only for the Ethiopian, also the system here in Israel, it's very mixed. When we're talking about the authorities, different authorities with the Orthodox or non-Orthodox, and the rabbi, how they are control our life, so it's really mess for the most of the Israelis.
Thank you so much, Michal, for an inspiring and moving and educational talk for all of us. I know we can't all clap, but we can show you our appreciation. We really appreciate it. We know you have your kids at home too, we see, and you're doing so much great work, you know, for years now, that we really appreciate it and are inspired by it. And thank you so much for spending the time with us. And thanks for most of you hung in there to
Thank you.
And if you do have, you know, any questions about a minor from any of you students, you can email me. You see my last name on the screen, Aronoff, and then the first letter of my first name at msu.edu. And then keep in mind that Professor Mark Bernstein will be next in terms of our schedule on September 24th to talk about lots of Israeli shows that are on Netflix now. So thank you so much. And thank you, Michal. And wish you the best. Toda rabah, להתראות.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.